Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Luna. I'm so thankful you joined me today, and I am so excited because today we are talking all about auras. So I asked my Patreon, by the way, if you want to be a part of there, you can. We do lots of fun stuff, monthly tarot readings, free access to my full moon ritual guide, live Q&As, early access, exclusive content, and you get to help me choose my videos and podcasts. So that's where we come back in. So I asked them, like, here's some of my ideas. What do you want to see? And a lot of people said they wanted to see a video all about auras. So I'm very, very excited because this is something I feel very passionate about. I obviously like these things, and I think it's such an interesting topic. So this is episode 2 in my Whimsical Wanderings. So if you haven't already seen my first Whimsical Wanderings, that's really hard to say. My first Whimsical Wanderings was all about how to read tarot. So if you're curious on how to read tarot, how to get started, that video will be linked below, and it's really a good resource for getting started. So jumping in, okay? I am gonna read my book because I was like, listen, we are talking about energy here, right? We are talking about energy. It's so hard for me to sometimes put like energy and feelings into words because I'm such like a feeling, I'm a Pisces moon, so I'm just like always feeling the energy and like understanding it in that way. So I'm like, okay, let's put this into words that it's understandable. So I guess let's start with what are auras? Like if you're here and you're like, this is interesting, what are we talking about? So auras, I mean, I'm sure like you've heard like the, stereotypical hippie being like, your aura is so clear, I love your aura, you have a pink aura, or whatever, like that's such a stereotype. It's, it's something that you can see and you can access, and I think most of us feel them more so than seeing them right off the bat. But aura is basically what it is your like energetic field that goes completely around you. And it's kind of where your energy is. It works as like a protective barrier. You might know if someone has a negative aura that is like penetrating yours. If you feel, a lot of times empaths, so we have a hard time with this, but if you feel fine, nothing's going wrong, but then someone comes in with some negative shit, some negative attitude, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I really feel that way now, even though I didn't before. It's because their energy got through to you. So we're gonna also talk about how to protect that, keep that from happening, because obviously that's not very fun. Especially if you're an empath like me, that happens a lot, and it's really, really important that you protect that space because, that's your energy. It's so important to make sure that you are, taking charge of it, making sure that it's good. So if you're wondering if you've ever experienced auras, like I said before, if someone with crazy negative attitude came at you, even if they didn't come at you, they're just like around you, and you felt that energy shift, that's auras. That's what you're feeling. Also, if you walk into a room and you're immediately feeling a change in, energy, that's what that is, okay? And so just being more aware of those feelings, that will help you kind of just like understand it a bit better. And also, like, if you have somebody who just like being in their presence makes you feel really, really good, it could just be that your auras blend really well, or like they have something that maybe you're lacking a bit of, and so that's helping you, or they just have a really great, nice, positive aura. So I do try to refrain from telling people, oh my god, you have such a beautiful aura, because like I know they're gonna be like, who is this lady? But I mean, I can feel it, I really can. So this video will be split up into 3 different parts just so that it's a bit more cohesive, just since it's kind of a tricky subject to like explain. So my first part is what are auras and just like a bit about them, like getting a bit more acquainted with them as an idea. The second part is experiencing auras, so how you can see them, how you can feel them, just like all that information, because I'm sure you're very curious on how to really access that. And the third part, which is very, very, very important, and I want you guys to make sure that you watch it because it's like the best advice I can give you for this, it is how to protect, enhance, and revive your aura, okay? These are important things because especially when you start to really open your aura and become aware of it, you just need to make sure that you are protecting yourself and giving yourself that extra just layer of defense so that when negative people come up or whatever, you can recognize that their aura is out of whack, a little cloudy, a little whatever, and say no. And do not let that, come into your space. Very important tips, you guys. So I was trying to think about common questions. I meant to ask my Instagram, but I totally forgot. So, like, common questions, if you guys have any, you can leave them in the comments and I'll answer them. But I have heard people ask things like, what if I do we all have auras? Like, how does that, yeah, we all have auras. It's just like a part of your body. It's literally, we just don't have the science, well, we kind of do, but we don't really have the science to see it fully. So, but if you could, you would realize that it's just a part of your body, like your hair or your fingers or whatever, it's just, no one doesn't have one, even animals, even cats. And your pets have them and you can help them, you can cleanse their aura as well, which is really cute and fun. I have also heard a lot of people ask, what do auras do? Understandable. I kind of already explained that, but like I said, it's just like your energy field. It's your energy, it's your protective bubble. It's Glinda the Good Witch in Wizard of Oz, that's the bubble, that's it. But there are 7 layers, which we will talk about and help you guys understand a bit more because that can be tricky and confusing. I've also heard people ask things like, can you change your aura color, which we'll kind of get into later. We'll explain that a bit more, but a short answer, like, no. And like you won't want to. Like, when you kind of figure out your aura, you understand that your aura is the color that you are. God, I hope that makes sense. Your aura is your personality, like, so hard to explain energy. So if you are a very spiritual person, very into your intuition, you might find that you have a purple or a violet or, around that area aura. Knowing yourself, you won't be like, man, I wish I had a red aura, because like, you won't, it just doesn't make sense. It's who you are, you know what I mean? But you do have your personality aura, which you have like 1 to 3. And then you have, and those stay permanent. Those are like who you are. 1 to 3, like you might lean into those, any of those 3 or 2 or 1, however many. You might lean more into one throughout your life, just depending on like where you're at, but they are permanent. And then you do have your mood aura, which does change because it's your mood. So like if you're angry, then you're gonna have a lot of red show up, but it's not gonna like be there always. So auras are part of what is called our subtle energy body, which is just the area around us that we can't see. And they do also connect us to our higher self. So within that energy, we can, if we're doing ritual, doing tarot, whatever, we can connect ourselves to our higher self or spirit guides. Okay, now let's get into the deep part. Hold on, grab a notebook if you need to, pause and rewatch anything that doesn't make sense. I'll try to be as clear and concise as possible, but it is a bit of a tricky subject to understand. So the auras are, like I said, there's 7 layers. They are also connected to the chakras. So if you know anything about chakras, this will make it a bit easier. We have 7 starting from our crown, the main chakras at least starting from our crown to our root, which does go from violet to red. And when we're working with auras, it's that same idea, but it's red closest inward to you to violet, close like furthest out, if that makes sense. And you can think of it as like your root chakra is the one that connects us, that grounds us to the earth in our time here. So that's closest to our physical body, whereas the crown chakra is violet, which connects us to our higher self, the spirit realm, the afterlife, and that is the furthest out because that is in like more of the cosmos, if that makes sense. So let's go through what's called the auric field. So these are going to be the 7 layers, different names of them, what chakra they correspond with, different other attributes, and just a bit about them. So the first one is called the etheric body. And so this is going to connect to your root chakra. It's going to connect you to the physical world. And this is usually only 1 to 2 inches like outside of our body. So it's thin and it's very close. So it's the easiest to see when you first start like trying to look for them. And it's the same like correlations and attributes as the root chakra. So it's like our basic human instincts, our fight or flight, and it's connected to like the skeletal system and the circulatory system. So that's one way if you are dealing with health problems and you wonder if there's any way you can kind of look at your chakras, see what's maybe out of line. you can see like what area of your body that is connected to. So the second layer is called the emotional body, and this is connected to the sacral chakra. And this kind of rules like your emotions, like love, sex, approval, all the things that have to do with your sacral chakra. And this aura also deals with like the reproductive system and hormones. The third layer is called the mental body, and this is connected to the solar plexus chakra. So this has to do with your mind and thinking. This has to do with confidence and creativity. The color orange is really present here as well. And with the like body system, it's connected to like the lower back and the intestines and like the digestive system. The fourth layer, you guys still with me? The fourth layer is the astral body, and this is connected to the heart chakra. So same things, this is like giving love, receiving love, empathy, compassion. And so this is also connected to like the heart, the chest, the lungs, kind of, it's just like the area that it's at, if that makes sense. The fifth is called the etheric template, and this is connected to your throat chakra. So this is one that if you're trying to heal this layer, really good to use sound healing, like a singing bowl or something, because it is connected to that throat, that like expression. The next one is called the celestial body. This is connected to the third eye chakra. So with that, it's like the subconscious mind, the spirit realm, the intuition, all that good stuff. And the body parts that are connected are the eyes, sinuses, ears, if you have headaches, and your pituitary gland. And the final auric layer is called the catheric template, or the casual body. Heard both ways. I also don't know how to pronounce catheric. I think that's probably right. I don't know. But this is the crown chakra. This is past lives, purpose, connection to source energy. So this is like the highest we can get with our auras. And this also kind of rules the integration of your physical self with your spiritual self. And the body parts it rules are the autoimmune system, the neurological functions, the cerebrum, hair growth, and the pineal gland. So I know that was a lot of info and like a lot of like, I don't know, with me, I'm like, I want to hear about the feelings and the emotions, but this is kind of like book stuff. That's why I pulled out my book so that I could give you guys all the info, just so you can get like the school stuff down, the school stuff out of the way. So those are the names of them, and each of those also correlate with red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, in that same order. So we'll get into basic colors of the aura in 1 second. I kind of just want to feed you guys like the information part first so that you have that as a good basis, and then you can kind of get into like the meaning and stuff, because it's just hard to jump into the meaning if you don't really understand what's like going on physically. So I thought I would talk really quickly about the personality aura and the mood aura. So like I said before, the personality aura, usually people have 1, 2, or 3 colors that stay throughout their entire life. And the mood aura is obviously like comes and goes with your mood. And you can see both. It's all about just like setting that intention, and also it'll feel kind of differently because the personality aura will feel just like a lot more stable, if that makes sense, a bit more like true. Whereas the mood aura will feel like maybe a bit flighty and a bit like lighter, if that makes sense. I'm speaking energy. Okay, let's get into the colors now. So starting again from the innermost layer to the outermost, we have red. So the red, if red is one of your personality auras, this is a very like grounded to the physical world person. So this is probably not a very spiritual person, just because they're very, very connected to the physical realm, the earthly realm. They might really enjoy camping. It's just like a very grounded kind of energy. And this aura color red also gives me kind of like Aries vibes, because they're very like into physical activity, exercise, but can also just like be kind of quick to anger. So it really just feels in line with the Aries energy. And the balancing color is green. And so what that means is that if you are a red or a color person, then if you feel like you need to balance that energy, then you'll want to meditate with like green crystals, green energy, work on your heart chakra, whatever kind of correlates to that, just so you can kind of balance it out if you're feeling a little bit overly red. The next color is orange, and this is a very successful person, very confident. They're being ruled by their sacral chakra, so very much also in the body with that physical expression, but just like a little bit more lighthearted. And their balancing color is violet. Next is yellow, and this is a person who, and this is so funny because for me, like when I was growing up in school, yellow was always the color of math. And this is a person who is like very intelligent and like loves to learn, loves like being in school and always learning. They're also very determined, also very happy and just like open-minded people. It's just a very sunny color. And their balancing color is indigo. The next one is green, and these are listeners and healers and lovers because they are ruled by the heart chakra. So they are just very naturally open to giving and receiving love and just being very like nurturing type of people. And their balancing aura color is magenta. The next aura color is blue, and these are intuitive communicators because they're connected to the throat chakra. So they can be calm and peaceful, and they can also just like be they can be kind of intense sometimes when they're dealing with like social issues, just because they are that like the leader of the people and like they are the voice for the underdog and everything. So they can also be really good teachers as well, just because they are so gifted in communication, and their balancing color is orange. The next aura is violet, and so these people have a very, very, very deep connection to the spirit realm, and they can feel kind of out of place because they're just so like in the astral realm that Earthland feels a bit crazy, a bit just like not where they are supposed to be. And these people can be very, very psychic and intuitive, and their balancing aura color is red. Next we have indigo, and this is actually a relatively new aura color to be seen. If you look into like the indigo child information, back in the 70s, there was a whole thing where people felt like this new generation was just very, very connected to the spirit realm and like had these like psychic abilities, and it was just kind of crazy. And those are obviously indigo auras. So indigo child, they are very able, they are that mix of violet and blue. So they are there to help the social injustices and to be like a leader for the people, but they're also very connected to the spirit realm. And so they can kind of mesh spiritual healing with like technology and stuff. So it's a really cool mix up. And their balancing aura color is green. And so I have some other colors that are not necessarily seen super often, but I still wanted to share them with you, and that is magenta. And so these are eccentric, artistic people. These are like actors, dancers, singers, and they are just very charismatic and like lovable, you know, and they can also be spiritual teachers because they have that mixture of like groundedness but also like spirituality, so they're just a bit more like comprehensible, I guess, rather than me who's just like, man, I don't know how to explain energy. But yeah, so, and their balancing aura color is yellow. Then you have turquoise people, and these are considered like old souls. They are mystical, they're healers because we're in that spiritual realm still, but it's almost like they are connected, like so innately connected to their past lives, and they like kind of work to bring in those old teachings, lots of like shamanism into the new age. So really cool people, very interested in like their ancestry and bringing in like the old teachings. And their balancing aura color is orange. And so last one I'm going to talk about is crystal / white, which is not very commonly seen because this is like viewed as like ascending. And so these are like very, very rare spiritual beings. They are very great healers, but they are very, very sensitive to energy. So if you find yourself with this as one of your colors, do understand that protection is probably a really big thing that you need to focus on, because this is just they're clear, and they're kind of called like chameleons. Like they can pick up so much energy easily. So really important to protect yourself. And their balancing aura color is red. Whew, I hope you guys are still with me. I know that was a lot of information, but I thought you guys would probably want to know. And also it is kind of like up for interpretation. And aura colors can be mixed, so it's not always going to be red or blue. You can get lots of mixtures, you can get different hues, like you can get some brown, some black, some white in there. Like it's just kind of, it's a mixture. So really take the color meanings with like a grain of salt and apply them to your own kind of like intuition and thinking about what would happen if blue and white were mixed and it was like a nice pastel blue. So like what would that mean? And so it kind of just, it builds on itself in that way. So let's go ahead and move on to part 2, talking about experiencing the auras. So how do you see them? How do you feel them? Great question. So let me first talk about the clairs. Okay, so you have the 5 clairs that I'm going to talk about: clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, and clairtangence. So these are, I'm sure you've probably at least heard of clairvoyance, which are the people who can like see, you know, they can visualize the things that aren't necessarily there. They can see energy, etc. That's like the most commonly talked about one. But with clairaudience, you may be able to hear messages or have like spirits talk to you. With clairsentience, you're like me, you're like the feeling, like I feel the energy. I just know because I feel it. Like you walk into a room and you can immediately tell like what everybody is feeling just based on how you are picking up the energies. Then you have claircognizance, which is clear knowing. So you know, so you just like, you understand things. Like you just, it's like, oh, I just knew that was going to happen. Or I knew that was what that person was thinking. It's like messages, not necessarily like you're hearing them like clairaudience would, but it's just like, you know. And then you have clairtangence, which is so cool in my opinion. It's like feeling, like you can, it's clear touching. So like you can feel things, which that's probably my least clear that I have developed. So I think that's really sick and super dope. Everyone who has that, I think that's just like so cool. All that to say, everybody is able to access these clairs. And it's, I think some people are like more inclined to, you know, pick one up super quickly. And you might be like, yeah, totally, I'm clairsentience and I know that. And I, you know, you can still develop others. And most people can tap into like a couple at least. So those are all separate ways you can experience auras. And obviously it's good to go with what you know you are really good at. So for example, I'm clairsentient. So I know it's just better for me to just feel the energy of someone and interpret that color. But I've also been working on physically seeing them, which works in some cases, but it just depends on how comfortable you are, how comfortable the other person is, etc. If you enjoy working with energy, with feeling, even with your hands, clairtangence, clairsentient, you know, any of those, you can work on a technique where you can feel the aura. And so for this, I like to create energy between my hands, which is just where you rub your hands together for a while. And then when you feel ready, you can bring them apart and you can kind of feel the energy between them. And then if you're working on yourself or you're working on another person, you can like go around their aura space and just be very aware of what you're feeling. And if you feel any areas that have knots or holes, areas that maybe need a bit of love, then that's an easy way to do that. Because some people, if you've had trauma, like at home or with feeling safe, you might have some like in your root chakra, or your first layer. So it just kind of depends. And, you know, that's an easy way to kind of feel those. You can also work with a pendulum if you have a pendulum. This is a really good way. There are tons of different techniques with pendulums to assess the aura, and it kind of just depends on what you're feeling. You can take your pendulum and kind of bring it around your aura or the aura of whoever you're working on and see like how the pendulum reacts. And you can be like, okay, let's assess the first layer and bring it around. And then if it starts to go crazy at a certain area, then you know that some work probably needs to be done there. Or if you would prefer, another way is you can have your pendulum show you what is yes and what is no, and you can hold it over each chakra and say, is the blank layer like good? Or however you communicate, like with spirit or whatever, you know, is this layer like, does this layer need help? Is this layer fulfilled? Etc. You know, whatever you want to ask. So there are like a ton of ways you can. And it just comes down to like what you want to do, and also just like feel what feels right for you. There's like no right or wrong way working with your own energy, because it's your energy and you know how it works best. The most basic way that I have learned and I've seen that people see visually auras is this way of looking at I guess there's two different ways. So you can start by looking at your own hand. If you're wanting to see your aura, you can look at your hand or your foot in front of like a white wall or a white blanket or, a pretty blank background. And you can kind of just look in between your fingers, like around them, and go into like a soft gaze. So you're not staring, but you're kind of letting your eyes like glare over and relax. And you can do this for a while, and then you can close your eyes and you might see a color or an image within that. Because, if you stare at something for a very long time and you close your eyes, you can still see it in your mind's eye. So a lot of times there will be a color there. A lot of times you can just look and people can see like the aura color around it. I cannot do that. Like I said, I'm a lot more of a feeling person, but I have been able to close my eyes and see the color like in my third eye. So that is an easy way. And if you're working with a person or you're looking at yourself in the mirror, a lot of people say different things. A lot of people say, I like to look in between the eyebrows because I feel like I'm looking in their third eye and like connecting with their spirit. Some people say over the shoulder is a good area because then you're not fixating on like any certain part. And obviously it can be awkward, like if you're just staring at someone, so you might laugh or kind of get pulled out of the moment. So maybe looking at a shoulder area is probably less like weird feeling if you're starting out. But yeah, just that idea of soft gazing for as long as you can, and then closing your eyes and allowing a picture to come to you. Or you can quickly close your eyes and open them back up. So it kind of just depends. You can try those different techniques, see if those work for you. Like I said, everyone is very different and has different like abilities. So working with that of your own. And also if you keep trying, you are going to wear yourself out because it is a muscle. And it's a lot of energy to learn to pick up on seeing these things, because it's just, especially if you aren't naturally clairvoyant, it's probably going to be pretty hard, and you might give yourself a headache if you keep trying too much. So just make sure that you're giving yourself breaks and staying hydrated and doing all that good stuff. Okay, let's get into part 3. I want to share with you guys the protection, enhancing, the reviving of your auras. So let me go ahead and pull out my book. The most basic protection is super easy, and I mean, we basically do it in my podcast. Every time we open a podcast, I do a breathing exercise, which is where we meditate, we center, and I ask you to relax and breathe in white light, and then exhale like any color that feels negative, or like a gray, or black, or whatever you want to visualize your negativity. Breathing in that white, breathing out the gray, and watching it like disappear. And you can do that until you feel like you've cleansed yourself. That is like a super, super basic, super easy way, and it really does help. It's a great grounding exercise, super just like approachable and easy. So that's a great way to cleanse, to get into a good headspace. And a really easy, good protection measure is to meditate, close your eyes, get grounded. You can even do that cleansing. And then after you feel cleansed, you can imagine a white bubble. Like I said, Glinda's like wicked, what is it? The Wizard of Oz. The white bubble all around you. Or just like an energy shield of white. And you can imagine, like you can bring it down from like spirit and let it like pour over you like water, whatever feels right for you. But kind of like enchanting a nice white bubble around you and allowing that to stay there and be stable and keep you protected, and check in on yourself anytime you need. So that's a very easy protective measure. Now there are other cleansing things that are pretty easy and quick. You can use incense, you can use some sort of like smoke cleanse, and you can also just use water. So the same way you would cleanse your home with incense or whatever, you can do that with your body, with your aura. I have an aura spray that was sent to me like in a box or something. And like it's fine, but like you don't need to go out and buy some expensive aura spray or anything, because you can literally use just your visualization, your breathing, and if you have incense or whatever, you can also sprinkle some water around you and use that as a cleansing. You can also, when you're in the shower or the bath, imagine it as like a waterfall of cleansing, and while you are cleansing like your physical, You can also be cleansing your astral. One of my more in-depth favorite protection measures is imagining a gold light. So what I do for this is I kind of put my hands above my head in like a meditation, and I imagine like for me, I imagine really big like gold chalice, just like from the astral realm, just pouring over like sparkly, glittery gold like liquid, like down my body and like coating me in like this like bronze like protection. So I know that's super hippie and you're like, Luna, what the heck are you talking about? But I promise you, if it works for you, it works for you. So that's what works for me. And you can take it and go as you wish with what makes you feel protected. But that is one. And I can also like call down on Archangel Michael. And if you have any spirit guides, ancestors, or whoever you talk to, you can bring them down and ask them to kind of just like help your protection journey. A deep like reviving is this rainbow protection cleanse is kind of what I call it. And it's the same idea. So, ground yourself. If you like to, cleanse yourself, do the breathing, use some incense, whatever, you can do that and get into meditation. And it's the same idea as the golden one where you're kind of pouring it down, but you go through the rainbow and you say whatever you want. I don't want to give you like a script to say because that's not going to be super authentic. Because I don't even have like a verbatim script. I kind of just say what I'm feeling, but you can call down your ancestors, your spirit guides, whoever you work with, ask them to protect you and to assist you. And then you can say something like, imagine your red chalice coming down, your red, energy, ask that it cleanses your innermost aura layer and that like any knots are removed and that you're cleansed and protected and revived. And do that with each layer through the rainbow. And you can also, with my hands, I start with like my praying hands and then I go down and I kind of like move my fingers so that I feel like I don't know what I'm trying to say, like sprinkling it throughout. And you can even like warm up your energy with your hands until you're feeling a lot of energy. Just that kind of helps, I think. And with any of what I kind of already said before, say you are, like I mentioned before, say you're a red aura color and you're feeling just very aggressive, you're feeling very like out of whack and you want to balance yourself. So you grab onto your balancing color and you can do that same like energy thing with the color that you're trying to balance. Or, say you need to really bring in that green, bring in that heart chakra. You can put your hands over your heart in meditation and kind of just visualize that green like really entering and filling your body. You can meditate with the crystals that are the color that you're trying to bring in. And yeah, you can just go crazy. You can wear that color and do whatever you need, if that makes sense. I hope that made sense. I hope that was beneficial and kind of helped guide you on your aura journey. If you have any questions, this is like a difficult topic to explain, so please feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them cohesively and understandably. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys next time.